used to get a flyer in the mail, and my dad would order
Oh,
CDs off the flyer. Do you
yeah, yeah.
remember that?
Yeah, what's that called again? My mom did that. I don't remember
I
it
don't I
firsthand,
don't
but I've
remember
heard
what
them
it's
talk
called,
about.
but this is funny. My dad was ordering. I don't know what the hell he ordered, but then he asked Nick. He said, "Nick, come order something, and I'll bring that up in a second." But then me and my brother were bugging him. He's like, "Okay, fine, order something, but only for I think only for $10." So they had the $10 section.
Yeah.
So my brother Brandon, he's older than me. He wanted the South Park album, and given
Oh,
we're so young, right? And my dad's like, "No, I'm not buying you that. No, you can't have that album. No, no." So my dad bought him the Simpsons album instead. So it
oh, nice.
had all the classic tracks. And then when it's my turn, I don't know how I persuaded him, but he bought me the South Park album, and I was yeah,
He'll be like, well, he won't even get the joke, so
yeah.
he'll get it
So
for him.
I just remember I used to hide and listen to it because it'd be suck on my chocolate salty
Salty
ball.
balls. Open your mouth and suck on them.
Oh, no. So that's actually my first
Oh
album, which is
god.
really funny. But actually, my brother's album, Nick, the one he ordered was the one that like shook me up. Cause I remember when he pulled it out, my dad was like, "Hey, go put that in your room. I don't want the kids looking, like me and my brother looking at it." So I seen a glimpse of it, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that going on?" And I remember going into his room and sneaking in there, and it was on top his dresser, and I pulled it down, and I was just like in awe because I never seen anything like this before, and it was flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, with DMX in the
Oh,
bathtub covered in
he's
blood.
covered in blood. Yeah.
And it was so eerie that I opened it up and I went through the booklet, and there was some more weird photos of him all covered in blood. And then who knows, it's funny later on, so much decades later, he ends up being one of my top 10 artists of all time. So
Yeah.
that's a funny story about, how I ended up getting the South Park album as my favorite, as my first CD, but also coming across DMX and not knowing him.
Man, DMX in his prime, like I couldn't imagine what like seeing him in a small venue right before he like exploded would have been like. The energy, it would have been like seeing like a hip hop version of like Black Flag. It's just like
Oh yeah.
the rawness and the ferocity of DMX. Like,
His performance at Woodstock is legendary.
oh, oh yes, so good. He's
You
the
know,
perfect guy to kick that off. I mean,
yeah,
the whole festival ended up being a complete shit show, but his set is unbelievable.
just imagine if those guys could have got along, because the original Murder Inc. was supposed to be DMX, Ja Rule, and Jay-Z. So they were all
Right.
in a group together. And there was also an artist that I don't know why everyone forgets about him, but he's really good too. His name is Mike Geronimo, but he was also in that group. So it was them four, but then none of them could have got. I think Jay-Z and fucking DMX couldn't get along or something.
Too
So
many
it ended.
alphas.
But you look at it from like we say from like 98 to like that 2004
Oh,
era, those guys' albums were fantastic.
DMX just dropped like just three bangers in like 2 years.
Oh yeah, and people sleep on him too. Don't sleep on Ja Rule. His albums were bangers too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so don't sleep on him. And Jay Z had his bangers as well. So it's